Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. The anniversary period is the best time in Dragon Ball Legend to upgrade your box for TOP. You will have opportunities to acquire multiple useful characters, increase the stars of the ones you own, and get some useful equipment easily. And in this video, I will give you various tips to help you do that. To start with, we have the Huzzay event. It's probably the most important one for TOP. You're gonna have all the older event exclusive characters from different campaigns. This list is super long, and if you know TOP, the new format, you're gonna need different characters from different tags. Also, you can get some of them or all of them at 14 star with ease, so I would advise you to at least do the daily stage every day. It's gonna give you 500 tickets, which is pretty decent. If you do it over the anniversary, you're gonna get a lot of them. Now, if you are a newer player and you do not know what to get or to prioritize, first of all, I would say get characters from current seasons. So every season I will give you the best character to get. For example, this season I gave you the tier list of season 132 with all the free-to-play characters that are tier 3 or above, and if you need some for a different color because you don't have great stars, you can go farm them and they will be very helpful. So, having the ability to get 14 star characters on demand is gonna be super advantageous on new accounts and rerolls, so this event is gonna be your best friend during the anniversary for the different TOP season. Now it will expire toward July. By the end, you're probably gonna farm a couple of different characters to prepare for future seasons. I made a video in January going over the best tag and different character you should get depending on your box. You can go watch that and you will get an idea on what to prioritize when this event is going away toward the end of the anniversary. But currently, just do your dailies, get your tickets, and exchange the characters that you need for the current TOP seasons. Even if you have every character maxed out like me, I would advise you to do the dailies because the exchange rate for the Zenny here is really good, and you won't need to waste some in the Zenny event, which require a lot. Now, if we do just 3 dailies, 1500 tickets, we're gonna get 1.5 billion Zenny, which is really nice for just 3 days of skip ticketing one stage. Other than that, you can get some seeds, art core, so this event is very useful for newcomers and older players. Next is TOP equipment. They are very useful to get and they will be helpful for your run. You do not need the best grade of equipment. I will give you a small tips on what to get and how to get them. To start with, this is the different equipment that are available. I would advise you to farm 8 of the Scar equipment and 8 of the Clash equipment, because they are the 2 equipment that will give you extra HP, which is super useful to survive. Plus, this equipment will give you double offense, so if your character is blast based, he's gonna get the 10% plus attack, and if your character want to go strike based, he will get the extra 10% strike attack, which is really nice in TOP because Z abilities do not exist, so equipment is the only way to get some base upgrade. I would advise you, of course, to farm these two, and for these two equipment, you just really need a good first slot. So during the anniversary, you're gonna get Ultra Bonanzas. It's gonna be at the start of each part. Part 1, which started last Saturday, is gonna have an Ultra Bonanza that will go until the 30th. Then when part 2 come around, which is around the 3rd, I believe, you're gonna get another Ultra Bonanza, and part 3 is the same. And during them Ultra Bonanzas, I would advise you to farm the first slot for each of your TOP equipment. And what you're gonna do is buy a bunch of them, and you're gonna just keep the one that have a C on them. You're gonna keep 8 of the car equipment, and you will do the same for the Clash equipment, keep 8, just the ones that have a C here, because you want as high of an HP base, and the rest is gonna be alright, you don't need it pretty high. For the rest of the equipment, depending on the type, which means the Kaioken one, Vegeta, Dimension Guard and all, you don't really need a high slot. What you're gonna do is buy a bunch, like we're gonna buy a bunch of this Kaioken equipment, go upgrade them here, and just keep the ones that are C grade. S grade, not C grade, sorry. Now, if you do not want to go with S grade equipment for them, it's fine. Just keep the ones that are A because it might take longer. If you don't know, only the first lot of the equipment for TOP are affected by Bonanza, the other two are not. I wouldn't advise you to use erasers on them, it's not really worth it. Just upgrade a bunch. And when you get an S grade for them, you're gonna keep them. And if you do not go for S, just keep A ones, of course. You need the following on screen: 2 or 3 of the support type, 3 or 4 of melee, 2 or 3 of defense, and 3 or 4 for range type. So to recap for your TOP equipment, you're gonna just buy a bunch here for car equipment and clash equipment, keep 8 of them, and keep the ones that have a C first slot and you can upgrade the rest. For the others, just buy a bunch, you don't need a very good first slot, and upgrade all of them, all the ones that you get, and you're gonna keep the ones with the highest grade, so A or S. For the silver equipment, I would just ignore them. They can have some uses sometimes if you want to go for a rank 1 grind, but you're gonna buy a bunch of them and there is a limited space of equipment in your box, so it's not very useful. I would just ignore them. They will just take up some space and you don't need them for the 1kcc. The next thing is make sure to do your USTR every single time it's available. You're gonna have multiple coming this anniversary. We started with a regular USTR that just reset every 2 weeks. It's gonna give you 35 medal when you complete it. And you have the light USTR that also give you 35 medal, but it's easier to do. Both are not super difficult, so I would advise you to complete them and not let them go to waste. And always go for zenkais, but do not go specifically for TOP. Do zenkais that will help you in PvP, and naturally with time that could help you in TOP. If you want to go for someone specifically in a specific season for TOP because you are struggling with a color, I would advise you just to go up to Z3. It should be fine. Even Z1 sometimes is okay for TOP. You don't need anything more. And if you want to just stack the Zenkai medals in your box, you can do that up to 30 days. I do that every season, to be fair, and they can stay here up to 30 days. You can see I have 10 days left, but these ones I have 24 days left because I've done the USTR 6 days ago. So just make sure you do USTR every time, and some of the characters you get Zenkai will be helpful for your TOP. One of the best thing we get during anniversaries is summon tickets. A lot of them have older characters which are not super meta in PvP, but they will be very useful in TOP. So make sure to do all your ticket missions when they're available. For example, we have this 100 ticket summon. You're gonna have a lot of them added during the anniversary. Right now we have only 15, and we can do it up to 2 times. You're gonna have also the Legends limited tickets, and you can find other single tickets there. And I would advise you to complete all the anniversary medals missions here, and you have a lot of times to do it, so do not worry if you see a higher number. Some events will give you medal. You can get them in raids, I believe, PvP. Sometimes you can get them in the raids. So don't worry, if you just play every day, you should be able to finish this by the end of anniversary, and all the tickets will be useful to get extra character. Any character you get that you don't own and you don't have 14 star will eventually get or will eventually be helpful in the future. So make sure you get every ticket. Some of them will be in exchange shop. I will advise you to go for them unless you have very limited of the currency for that exchange shop. You might go for something that you prefer, but tickets will be very helpful, especially for newer players. and you're gonna get a lot of sparkings that can be useful for TOP. One last thing is gonna be zpower. You're gonna get a lot of events and exchange shop that will give you zpower this anniversary. They do it every time. For example, every Tuesday you're gonna get an event with Super Saiyan Blue Goku that will give you zpower. So I would really advise you to log in at least once on Tuesday and do that. Every Monday you're gonna get legend limited character that you can exchange directly, and that will also be some zpower that can be helpful for characters you own or you do not own, and just go with what you want. In the long run, whatever you get, it might get helpful or it might be helpful for TOP. And do not miss out on this dailies event because that will be very, very helpful. Other than that, you can go to your exchange shops and you can check them all and find what zpower is available. Sometimes you can find some on the raid shops. Right now we're gonna have only Legends Limited zpower, but still useful for me. You're gonna find some on the PvP. We have one of each color. I would really advise you to get them after the CC. They are the most useful thing here. You're gonna find some zpower on treasure battle. Please do this every day because it's gonna stack up and you can get a lot of tickets, zpower and so on, and that could be useful. Do not zpower specifically for TOP, zpower what you want, and it's always gonna be useful in the long term in my opinion. Other than that, you can find the usuals with co-op. There is an extra boosted day for co-op, so it's gonna be more helpful for your zpower. I already exchanged mine, and also you can get some in the guild if you are in a guild or something, and it reset every month. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any question, let me know in the comment. I will link in the description the Huzzay specific event guide video. I would personally use it toward the end of the anniversary when the Huzzay event is going away, and start planning for some seasons that are coming up before Legends Fest, because that event probably doesn't come back until Legends Fest. But in the meantime, do your dailies and so on. Have a good one and goodbye.